Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are making waves off the field before the season even kicks off. And this time, it's all about a coaching move that could make a serious impact on the run game. Chandler Henley, who has been a steady presence on Mike McDaniel's staff since day one, has officially been promoted to run game specialist. This move isn't just a title change, it's a sign that Miami is doubling down on what could be the engine of their offense. Henley, who came into the league with a unique background and deep connections to McDaniel, is stepping into a pivotal role at a crucial time for this Dolphins team. After an offseason full of speculation about how Miami would elevate their offensive identity, this promotion gives us a solid hint. They want to dominate on the ground. And with the explosive talent they've got in the backfield, pairing that with Henley's analytical and strategic mind could be a recipe for fireworks. Let's not forget Henley's journey to this role isn't your average NFL coaching path. He's a Yale graduate. That's right, Ivy League. And he wasn't just hitting the books up there in New Haven. He and Mike McDaniel were teammates, both playing wide receiver. That shared history tells you something immediately. This isn't just about resume, it's about trust and vision. When McDaniel brought Henley onto his staff in 2022, it was a calculated move to build a room full of football intellect. Bene, forward to today, and that decision is bearing fruit. Henley served as assistant quarterback's coach, a position that requires deep knowledge of the offense as a whole. From there, he was bumped up to senior offensive assistant, and now he takes the next step. This kind of trajectory speaks volumes about how the Dolphins view his football IQ and his potential to shape a key area of the offense going forward. Now, let's talk about what this role of run game specialist really means in today's NFL, especially in a system like Mike McDaniel's. This isn't just someone who says, run left, run right. It's about designing run schemes that slice up defenses, creating movement and confusion up front to open lanes for speedsters like Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert. It's about marrying the run game with the pass game in ways that make play action lethal. And who better to handle that than someone who knows McDaniel's vision inside and out? Henley has been in the room during the install. He's watched film with the quarterbacks. And now he's going to be drawing up run plays that can crack the toughest defensive fronts in the league. That kind of responsibility isn't handed out lightly. This shows that McDaniel believes Henley can not only handle it, but elevate the entire offensive operation. Think about the timing here. The Dolphins have all the weapons in place, and now they're investing even more in the coaching brainpower behind it. TYREEK Hill and Jalen Waddle stretch the field like few others in the league, and the threat of the deep ball constantly forces defenses to play on their heels. That's the exact kind of situation where a well-orchestrated run game can absolutely feast. Henley's new role means he's now in charge of making sure that feast is consistent, explosive, and difficult to predict. It's not just about racking up rushing yards. It's about setting the tone, controlling the clock, and breaking the will of opposing defenses. And in a division as competitive as the AFC East, where every edge matters, having someone focused specifically on this part of the game could be the X factor that pushes Miami into the elite tier of contenders. Let's rewind to where Henley's coaching career began. Before joining the Dolphins, he was a quality control coach with the Tennessee Titans from 2018 to 2020. That role might not sound glamorous, but anyone in NFL circles knows that's where the real grind happens. You're breaking down film, compiling reports, looking for tendencies, basically living in the shadows to make everyone else shine on game day. That's the kind of foundation that builds a future coordinator. After Tennessee, Henley had a brief stint with the Atlanta Falcons in 2021 as an assistant offensive line coach, giving him even more perspective on the ground game from a trench-level view. By the time McDaniel brought him to Miami in 2022, Henley had seen the game from multiple angles, worked under different systems, and earned the respect of coaches for his meticulous approach. Now, he gets to use all of that to sculpt the Dolphins' run game that's ready to take the next step. This promotion also highlights the kind of internal growth that successful organizations strive for. Rather than always chasing the next hot name outside the building, Miami is showing they believe in developing from within. It creates continuity, it builds culture, and it keeps the offensive language consistent. Henley isn't walking into a situation where he has to learn names or schemes. He already knows the rhythm of this offense. He knows what McDaniel wants, and most importantly, he knows what these players are capable of. That's huge. It's one thing to bring in a new coach with fresh ideas. It's another to elevate someone who's already earned the trust of the locker room and the staff. This kind of move gives everyone, from linemen to backs, a sense of stability and direction. And in a league where chaos is always lurking around the corner, that kind of clarity can be a massive competitive edge. From a player development standpoint, this is also a great sign for the Dolphins' younger backs. Guys like Devon Achane are still early in their careers, and having a dedicated specialist like Henley focusing on their growth and utilization is a game changer. It means every carry, every block, every scheme is going to be scrutinized and improved. Henley's background working with quarterbacks also means he understands the full picture, how the run game affects the pass game and vice versa. He can communicate with Tua, with the offensive line, and with the running backs in a unified voice. That's rare. Most coaches are locked into their positional silos, but Henley's rise through the ranks means he's got a broad lens and a deep understanding. This is the kind of role that can quietly turn into one of the most influential on the staff, especially when the offense is built on speed, deception, and timing. Speaking of speed, that's what this Dolphins offense is all about. And the run game isn't just about raw power. It's about creating opportunities for your fastest guys to get into space. That's what Henley will now be engineering. Think jet motions, counters, stretch plays, zone reads, all tailored to get the ball into the hands of playmakers with just a sliver of daylight. In McDaniel's offense, the run game isn't separate from the passing game. It's an extension of it. And when it's working right, it forces defenses into impossible decisions. That's the chess match Henley now controls a major part of. His job isn't just to design runs, it's to set traps. When defenses bite on motion, over pursue, or hesitate, that's when Miami strikes. And with Henley calling those shots behind the scenes, you can expect a lot more of those highlight reel plays that have become a Dolphins trademark. It's also worth noting that Henley's relationship with McDaniel goes beyond football. They were teammates, sure, but that shared history often leads to a deeper level of communication. They speak the same football language. They've seen the game through the same lens. And that kind of synergy is invaluable on a coaching staff. McDaniel is known for his creative mind, his willingness to think outside the box, and his trust in those who've earned it. Promoting Henley is a reflection of that mindset. It shows he wants collaborators, not just subordinates. Coaches who can challenge him, who can innovate, and who can push the system forward. That's the kind of staff culture that wins in today's NFL. Agile, collaborative, and always evolving. Henley has proven he belongs in that room, and now he's getting the platform to leave an even bigger mark on how this Dolphins offense operates week in and week out. Looking ahead to the 2025 season, all eyes will be on how the Dolphins balance their explosive aerial attack with a ground game that can match. And now they've got someone solely focused on making sure that happens. Henley's promotion to run game specialist is more than just a headline. It's a sign of intent. Miami knows that to get through the gauntlet of the AFC, you need to be able to win ugly, control tempo, and grind out drives when the deep ball isn't there. That's where Henley comes in. He's got the brain, the background, and now the responsibility to turn Miami's run game into a force. And if he delivers, don't be surprised if his name starts getting thrown into bigger conversations. Because in the NFL, when you build something special on one side of the ball, opportunities open up fast. For now, Dolphins fans should be excited. The groundwork for something special is being laid, and Chandler Henley is right in the middle of it. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? What started as a routine media session quickly turned into one of the most talked about moments of the NFL offseason. TYREEK Hill, the Miami Dolphins superstar wide receiver, took to the podium after a recent practice session and shocked fans and reporters alike by expressing deep frustration with what he called the toxic environment within the Dolphins locker room. While Hill has always been known for his electrifying speed and big playability on the field, his off-field demeanor is usually upbeat, if not cocky. But on this day, there was no trace of swagger, just a weary, visibly emotional athlete opening up in a way we rarely see from NFL stars. The usually confident wideout repeatedly used the word drained and mentioned feeling isolated and unsupported by some teammates and members of the coaching staff. His statement sent shockwaves through the football community, raising questions about what's really happening behind the scenes in Miami. Hill didn't name names, but the tone of his comments made it clear that there's serious friction within the team. At one point during the 15-minute session, Hill paused and looked down before saying, "Man, I'm just tired of pretending everything's fine. It's not." Those words landed like a thunderclap. For months, there have been quiet whispers around the league that the Dolphins locker room isn't as harmonious as it appears. Now, with their biggest offensive weapon essentially confirming the speculation, it's hard to ignore the smoke. What makes this even more intriguing is how close this team is supposed to be to contention. With Tagovailoa improving each year and an explosive arsenal of talent, the Dolphins were expected to be real contenders in the AFC. But Hill's comments paint a different picture, one of internal turmoil, broken trust, and mounting emotional fatigue. And fans can't help but wonder, could this signal the beginning of a larger implosion? Adding more fuel to the fire, sources close to the organization suggest that Hill has been feeling this way for a while. One anonymous player reportedly told a local Miami beat reporter that Hill has tried to raise his concerns privately on multiple occasions, but felt dismissed by both teammates and coaching staff. "He's been trying to be a leader, but it's hard when people don't want to listen," the source said. That aligns with the subtle signs we've seen over the past season. Hill sitting alone on the bench during games, his body language, cold during team celebrations, and cryptic social media posts hinting at dissatisfaction. There's also the theory that Hill's frustrations go beyond locker room dynamics and into scheme usage. He may be unhappy with how he's being utilized on the field, despite putting up elite numbers. A player of his caliber wants to feel valued and heard, and right now it seems like he's feeling neither in Miami. This all comes at a pivotal time in Hill's career. Though still in his prime, he's not getting any younger, and windows for winning Super Bowls are always narrower than they seem. Hill joined the Dolphins with the belief that he'd be the final piece in a championship puzzle, but now it seems like he's stuck in a situation that's weighing on him emotionally. And it's not just about wins and losses. This is clearly personal. Hill spoke about carrying the weight of being the team's vocal leader and the emotional toll that leadership role has taken on him. Some NFL analysts are even speculating that Hill may consider stepping away from the team if things don't change. While retirement feels extreme, the NFL has seen stars walk away for reasons that go beyond football. And Hill, with his media ventures and life outside the sport, might just be one of those players who isn't afraid to make a bold, unexpected move. Meanwhile, the Dolphins organization has remained tight-lipped in the immediate aftermath of Hill's outburst. Head coach Mike McDaniel has not addressed the comments publicly, and none of Hill's teammates have come forward in support or denial of his claims. That silence is deafening. Usually when a player of Hill's magnitude expresses discontent, organizations move quickly to do damage control. The lack of a clear response suggests either internal disorganization or an unwillingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Fans are now dissecting every move, every gesture from the team's social media accounts, looking for clues as to how the organization is processing this. One thing is certain, the Dolphins are suddenly dealing with a storm they likely didn't anticipate heading into what was supposed to be a breakout season. Hill's comments are now more than just a soundbite. They've become a full-blown saga. The ripple effects could go even further than Miami. Across the league, teams are surely taking notice. A disgruntled TYREEK Hill, even one under contract, is a storyline that front offices can't ignore. Already, NFL insiders are theorizing potential trade scenarios should things escalate. Imagine Hill joining a team like the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills, organizations with strong locker rooms and established quarterbacks. The fit would be tantalizing. But it's not just about on-field performance. Hill's brand, his personality, and his play style are uniquely marketable. If he truly wants out, suitors will line up. Of course, any deal would be complicated and costly, both in terms of draft capital and salary cap space. But when a superstar becomes available, even one with a bit of emotional baggage, teams are often willing to roll the dice. Especially when that player can turn an entire offense into a juggernaut overnight. This situation also reopens conversations about the role of team culture in professional sports. Time and again, we've seen that even the most talented rosters can crumble if the chemistry isn't right. The Dolphins have no shortage of talent, but Hill's comments suggest that talent alone isn't enough. There needs to be cohesion, trust, and shared purpose. And if that's missing, no amount of big plays or Pro Bowl appearances can fill the void. Hill's frustration serves as a reminder that these athletes, as physically gifted as they are still human. They need to feel supported, respected, and part of something meaningful. When that's gone, motivation slips, morale drops, performance suffers. It's a domino effect, and Hill may just be the first tile to fall. The Dolphins would be wise to address this not just with words, but with actions before it spirals further out of control. Fans are now split in their reactions. Some stand firmly behind Hill, applauding him for his honesty and bravery in calling out what he sees as a toxic environment. Others feel he's being overly dramatic or potentially disruptive, especially with training camp around the corner. The debate rages on in social media threads, sports talk shows, and barbershops across the country. But one thing's for sure, TYREEK Hill has forced a conversation that isn't going away. Whether you agree with his approach or not, his message is resonating. It's raw, it's real, and it's shedding light on aspects of team dynamics that often go unspoken in a league where the mantra is often next man up and play. Out through the noise, Hill is challenging the very culture that made him a star. And that takes a different kind of courage, one that doesn't show up in highlight reels. In the days following his press conference, Hill hasn't walked back. His statements, if anything, he's doubled down. During an impromptu appearance on a friend's podcast, Hill elaborated further, saying, "I've been loyal. I've worked, I've produced. But it feels like loyalty ain't a two-way street in that building." That line, now viral, adds even more tension to an already combustible situation. It also highlights the emotional stakes at play. Hill clearly feels betrayed or at least unappreciated. And that emotion is rarely just about football, it's about relationships. Something within the Dolphins organization has fractured. And unless it's addressed swiftly, it could derail an entire season. The front office, the coaching staff, and even ownership are now under the microscope. The question isn't just whether Hill will stay. It's whether the Dolphins can survive this level of internal disarray without imploding. And so the NFL world waits. Training camp is on the horizon. Preseason games are a few weeks away. But all eyes are now on Miami. And specifically on TYREEK Hill. Will he report to camp? Will the organization mend fences or dig in their heels? Will teammates rally around him or quietly distance themselves? These are the storylines that will dominate the coming weeks. For now, it's all rumor and speculation. But as any seasoned football fan knows, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And TYREEK Hill just lit the match. Whether this becomes a turning point for the Dolphins or the beginning of a slow, painful unraveling remains to be seen. One thing's certain though, the league is watching, the media is buzzing, and Dolphins fans are holding their breath because in a season full of promise, everything now feels like it's hanging by a thread. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.